Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to break down 3 quantum cheat codes I use to manifest $1.3 million. Now, if you're anything like me, you like to work smarter, not harder. Not saying I'm lazy, I just know that as humans, we have a lot more potential than we've been told about. And it is my pursuit to figure out how to unlock this wisdom and use it in my own life. And by happenstance, I'm choosing to share it with you guys. So the first thing that I'm going to introduce you to today is how you can manifest with no delay in space and time. This is going to be how you can go from a 3D outdated paradigm of the universe, the Newtonian physics, to unlocking a quantum model and quantum mindset around reality in which you can collapse the gap in which you normally experience through space and time. But before I can show you how to do that, I actually need to introduce you to the unified field of mind and matter. So I'm bumping that up to spot 1, because when you understand that there is no separation between mind and matter, you are going to realize that the physical experience you have and observe is a direct mirror of your inner frequency. So I'm going to teach you how you can hack the game and start to use these inputs from the external world to experience immediate shifts of inner alignment and frequency. Now, once you understand those 2 things, my biggest goal is to show you how you can overcome financial blocks, ceilings on income potential, through understanding the energetics and universal laws of financial abundance. So ladies and gentlemen, if this sounds like a journey you want to embark on, let's get into it. Now, like I said, the first thing I am going to break down is the unified field of mind and matter. The unified field of mind and matter, I'm going to break down in a variety of ways. Now, you need to understand traits of this unified field of mind and matter, because if you can understand these traits, you're going to understand that you're in an immediate frame of manifestation, right? The only thing that causes a delay in between us and the reality you want to experience is the illusions and programs that we are identifying with. Now, if you can understand this, you're going to start to unlock mystical experiences. Have you ever thought of someone and they immediately called you? That confirms this theory by Carl Jung about synchronicities. And we experience synchronicities in what he calls the unus mundus. The unus mundus translates to one world. That's a U if you want to look it up. You need to understand that we are actually living in a one world, but it's actually one consciousness, right? When you can understand that mind and matter are both manifesting out of consciousness, then you are going to understand how, through meditation, attaining an observational and detached state of mind is the key to aligning your frequency with pure potential. Now, you need to understand what's keeping you stuck. And what's keeping you stuck is an outdated paradigm of the universe. This outdated paradigm of the universe is Newtonian physics. This Newtonian physics is based on a mechanistic model of the universe in which matter is separate from mind, right? So this is the idea that things are going to happen in a cause and effect manner, right? Because the universe is a mechanism and it's not dynamic, because it's existing under material laws. If we want to experience manifestation, this is the idea that we have to go through A, to go through B, to unlock C, which is our eventual manifestation. But what quantum physics is showing us is that we actually exist in a quantum model of the universe. This quantum model verifies the concept of one consciousness. Now, you'll understand why I chose to bump this up as the first concept to give you, because when you can understand that you are just navigating different levels or dimensions of consciousness, right, dimensions of being, you're going to realize like, hey, like, I actually had everything I was looking for right now. Because in this quantum model, you need to understand that everything is actually 99.9% energetic potential. What does this mean? This means that even matter is just vibrating at a denser frequency. It's all energy. This right here, frequency, just a denser state. Think about it. My words are a higher frequency that you cannot see, you can only hear. But think about the frequencies beyond that. There eventually comes a point where it doesn't even exist. It only exists as potential, which is the quantum model, right? This is a realm of 99.9% infinite potential until we engage with the observer effect. So I needed to introduce you into how most of you are probably stuck on manifestation because you're engaging with a realm of illusion. And this realm of illusion is that things are going to take time to go from A to B to C. And because things take time, you start to fall back into old pattern because you're like, oh my God, it's actually hard to do this. It's hard to do that. Then you start to experience fear, doubt, worry, and anger, which are just like kind of reprogramming yourself to live in that paradigm. Now, the whole point is to reorient your mind around a new quantum model of the universe in which your body and the matter, your neurology, your biology, starts to repattern itself to a new frequency that you've unlocked through investing your time, energy, and attention into that level of awareness. So we're going to expand this concept right now. And what I want to do is break down the traits of this quantum state. So you can understand that, hey, like, what I normally perceive as separation is actually unified. And I'm just looking at it through a more separate state of mind. So here's the electron cloud, right? This is 99.9% energy. All potentials exist in here as a potentiality. So just for sake of demonstration, potentiality is pure energy. Like, think about it. It does not hold any form of matter because it's only a thought, right? Thought does not hold matter, which is why science only gets us so far. This is why the mystics and the spiritual teachers have actually confirmed what quantum physics is talking about, because science is based on the realm of matter. Now you're going to see how this energy exists, because the lowest states, the more denser frequencies, is what we see as the 3D world, right? So denser frequencies are slower waves versus a more energetic state is going to be quicker. But you need to understand that at, like, the fabric of our experience, physical reality is manifesting into matter as potential. So what does this mean? Through the observer effect, we influence energy and collapse it as matter, right? So we went from a wave of potential This is the wave of potential, the 99.9% energy. This is why Joe Dispenza says, hey, like, you exist in a multiverse, and this multiverse embodies infinite potential. And all you need to do is align your frequency with that potential, right? There's a frequency in which you're more engaging with matter, and it takes more time between the highs and lows for things to change. But the more you resonate at a higher frequency, there's not as much time and space in between those highs and lows and those experiences. That's your goal. Through understanding what we're going to jump into next. What we're going to jump into next is how to go from a 3D state of consciousness to a 5D state of consciousness, and what that bridge of transformation looks like to step into the present moment through meditation to become a conscious creator. But the last thing I want to break down for you is how that wave of potential is the particle of matter at the same time of creation. So, circling back, this is mind, because mind and thoughts do not hold physical form. But because of the quantum view of the universe, we know that they're just bouncing back and forth. Like a wave is collapsing into a particle. But for example, if we take our observational attention off of that, then it goes from particle to wave. Versus if we observe this reality, then we go from wave to particle again. So I want to show you guys how there's a version of you that is observing a reality based on more energetic principles. If you're watching this video, you're working on transitioning to this place. But because of subconscious programming, you might be falling victim to this version of yourself that is more looking to the realm of the 3D world, right? The 3D world is an illusion because it's only 0.0001% of the spectrum versus the 99.999% potentiality. So ladies and gentlemen, as we jump further into this video, I'm going to show you how you can go from a 3D state of consciousness and mind to a 5D. But you're only going to be able to do this through the 4th dimension. So I'm going to give you the traits of the 4D so you can navigate the transformation from the 3D and eventually unlock the 5D state of mind. This 5D state of mind is where there is no space and no time in between your manifestation. You need to understand, through observation, we are collapsing an experience immediately. But in our minds, we're holding programs that are telling us it's going to take longer to experience that. So the goal is to dissolve that state of mind, and we dissolve that state of mind through awareness. And it starts with awareness of this information. So ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the next concept, and I'm going to break down your transition from the 3D world to the 5D world. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably a high achiever, and you're probably starting to realize that the greatest threat to your success is yourself, right? You'll have moments where you take inspired action. You know you need to change. You know you need to overcome these old habits, these subconscious programs, these negative thoughts. You'll be inspired. You'll have 48 hours of wins. But after those 48 hours of wins, you'll relapse and you'll fall victim to the same thing you know you needed to change. You know you can't be smoking weed. You know you can't be drinking on the weekends because the weekends you need to invest into your business, into clarity for the next week. You spend your Sundays resetting, losing a precious 24 hours just to give back and be back in the same place of progress that you were on Monday before. You relapse, start to realize that you fall victim to these old programs super easily, and you catch yourself on this karmic loop where you'll 72 hours later get another sense of inspiration. Now, you're probably asking, Grant, I know where I need to go. I know I need to scale my business. I know I need to eat cleaner. I know I need to meditate so I don't need to smoke weed and party and spend time with the wrong people to numb myself. But all I need help with is overcoming these old habits through accessing those subconscious programs and being able to swap some thoughts that serve me so I can enter that 5D state of consciousness that you're talking about, and I can unlock effortless flow, clarity, and conscious creation. So if this sounds like you, I want you to click the link and book a call for the 5-day Ascension Protocol. Now, this is a paid experience, so if you're one of those people that just wants to book a call and network and be friends, I will not be taking this call. And I'm going to only be taking calls with certain committed people that want to invest in themselves, and they need to overcome these old habits, subconscious patterns, and thoughts that no longer serve them. So if that sounds like you, click a link and book a call for that 5-day protocol. Now, the $1 million question we need to answer is, how can we go from living in the 3D world and making all of our decisions based on the material illusion to unlocking the more metaphysical, the more energetic states that exist beyond the constructs of space and time? So that's what we're going to talk about. And the thing we need to understand in order to go from a 3D state of consciousness, making your decisions based on the material world, the realm of matter, the Newtonian realm of the universe, to transitioning to a 5D quantum model in which we exist more energetically and we're making decisions more based on our energetic potential, there are going to be 3 key components in your life that you need to transcend. right? These are going to be things that you need to detach from to take back your power, to take back your energetics in the form of thoughts, emotions, which in turn you will use in actions and restore your power to the present moment. But in order to do this, we need to understand the traits of where we're going, because then we will know what we do not want to identify with in the realm that we're trying to move on from. So the thing we are going to be aiming for as we transition from the three-dimensional realm, right? This is time and space. This is the idea that there are 2 points in consciousness when we want to manifest something, right? Here's a version of us that might be eating unhealthy, might be not going to the gym, might be afraid to start that business. And then in our head, we have a version of us that is eating healthy, is going to the gym, is an entrepreneur. Now, if we exist in the 3D realm of material, in our mind, we are creating separation between these 2 points in consciousness. So we are using things like matter, right? What gym we go to, how long it's going to take us to get there, what goals we have, how long it's going to take us to start the business. We are making decisions based on time and space, which are constructs of the material world, right? We need to think of it in this manner. We're saying, hey, I need to go from point 1 to point 2, which is space. And the amount of time it takes for me to move through space is what gives us the illusion of time. These are traits of the material world. So you need to understand this is what Joe Dispenza is trying to get us to transition to when he's talking about all the practices of meditation. Right? He's saying, hey, when you exist in the 5D state of consciousness, the goals you already want exist. You can visualize them. You can experience them. You can feel them in this moment now. So what does it look like? What 3 things in the material world are going to be the greatest threats to what we face? Now, these are going to be things related to what we experience with our senses, right? Our sight, our smell, our touch, our feel, what we can hear. The first thing are going to be people. There are certain people in your life that are preventing you from getting to point 2, or you're allowing them to prevent you from getting to point 2. For example, I'll use an example in my own life. My brother was able to cure Crohn's disease organically without having to go on chemotherapy, and he did it naturally with diet and lifestyle. That is an amazing thing, and he has so much to be proud of. And I'm like, Gavin, you need to go on the internet and help people. Like, you need to share this message. You need to build a business around this message. And I would love to help you because my expertise is launching offers on the internet. Now, when I get pushback from him saying, hey, like, I know I want to do this, but I'm not ready. If I allow that to impact my internal state, right, how I feel, then I am allowing someone in the material world to influence my energetic state that I need to manifest from. So that is going to be the first thing you need to understand, and the first threat you're going to face in the environment. Are there people in which you allow to hold weight over your decisions, over your feelings, over your actions, right? These could be spouses, these could be mothers and fathers, these could be siblings, these could be boyfriends and girlfriends. These are people that change your internal state. We need to remove their power. The way we remove their power is by entering a state in which we have no body, right? So we do this through meditation, which is why meditation is the practice that Dispenza aims to get you into. Because he's saying we can go from observing the world of somebody, right? People, places, and things to stepping into a state where we're coming back to our center, we're restoring our energy into this moment by engaging with nobody, no thing, no time, right? We're entering into a state of nothingness. And we do this through meditation. Why is that? Because the traits of the 5D realm, the quantum consciousness, right? You're trying to enter a state of pure awareness. You do this through observation. You just observe those things and let them be. And eventually you do it long enough, you're holding no thought in mind, right? If you're making decisions based on these people or places, right? You might go to the same gym. And if you go to the same gym, you have the same routine. You're not gonna do more than 10 reps because you only do 10 reps in this gym. But you know to get in the best shape of your life, you need to do 20 reps. But because you're in this specific place, you're allowing this external 3D material gym to determine your inner frequency. So we need to get rid of that too. And then things, right? This is the biggest thing that we're kind of threatened by when it comes to manifestation. We're saying, hey, I am going to allow the watch I wear, the followers I have, the money I make to determine how I feel about my inner state, which allows me to fall back in old subconscious patterns, which allows me to feel an impulse and engage with a reaction because I no longer want to feel the uncertainty of falling back into the unfamiliar and what that life looks like if I remove the energetic certainty that my fear of not attaining those things give me, right? So those are going to be the 3 things that you need to overcome in order to go from engaging with the world of matter to restoring your energy to the present moment. Now, you go from thinking about things to doing the practice of meditation to restoring your energy in this moment to the more consistently doing it, your natural state becomes potential. You're just here now. You're not collapsing space and time into existence through engaging with it, through giving your time, energy, and attention to it. I'll break down what this kind of will feel like in your psyche because I feel like that's one of the best things I can do for you is show you what is going to go on in your head when you engage with these things. So, for example, one of the things I struggle with when I'm falling back into old subconscious patterns is eating, overeating, right? Just snacking on unhealthy things. And I'll catch myself where my body will literally just be walking to the pantry and opening a bag of snacks, even though my mind's like, Grant, don't do that. Grant, don't do that. I'm literally focused on the thought saying, don't do that, but my body's already eating. Like, why is that? How do we overcome that? Well, what Dispenza talks about is we have programmed our body to be our mind, which means that the chemicals in our body are the things setting us into action. I felt the chemicals of stress and shame from God knows what triggered it, right? Let's say I was worried that I was going to post a video and it was going to flop. I felt the shame, guilt, and fear, which created an internal state. Now my body has been programmed that when I feel that state, I'm going straight to the pantry to numb myself, right? To step back into a subconscious program where I know it's familiar. I know this is going to make me feel better right in this moment instead of slowing down. Now, I'm going to show you what you need to do to go in between these states of consciousness. You need to understand there's a simple formula which will make this easy to understand. It'll allow you to be more observational and not be so attached to what's going on in reality. And it's going to be just an objective way to look at it. So you're going to have an impulse. Now, what are going to be some traits or impulses we may face? I'm going to say, I'm just going to write people, right? We're going to bring back in the 3 things. We got places, and we got things. Now, in order to overcome these impulses, we need to become aware of what we're going to be likely to do when we feel this. For example, I gave you the example of, hey, Gavin, you need to build this business to help people with Crohn's disease. But if he's like, no, I'm not ready, this person, my brother, gave me a certain impulse, which might lead me to a reaction. Right? This reaction could just be falling victim to stress hormones or fear or doubt, which may lead to snacking. I'll put different things I do. Snack. Let's go to procrastinate. And then I'll put 3, overthink. These are things I battle. And there's stimulus from the external world that's getting me to try and fall into this subconscious program. Now, the goal is to create a space in between this impulse and a reaction, right? Let's say I go home to my apartment and I had a rough day. I wasn't as productive as I wanted to, and my roommate made brownies. I'm like, oh my God, like my body's already walking towards the brownie canister. Like, let's get some of that, right? That's an impulse based on things I was experiencing at the place I was at to fall back into snacking. Or things, for example, let's say I post a video and I'm looking to the number on the screen to determine my inner state. But if it doesn't go viral, then I'm gonna be more likely to procrastinate. I'm gonna be more likely to overthink and fall into a place of fear. Now, how do we create this space, right? This is actually building off of what we talked about, right? So this is the 3D world that we're making decisions based off of. We're actually going to need to enter a different dimension to see transformation. Right here, our only goal is to figure out how to bring ourselves back to the present moment, to not fall victim to a subconscious pattern or an old way of being. Right? This is the $1 million equation. Because if you can master this, if you can master your impulses in which you no longer engage with a reaction, then you're gonna have everything you need to manifest, because you're gonna have all your energy restored to the present moment. The present moment is the quantum field that we talked about, right? This is the quantum field. It's the field, the unified field where all potential exists. I'm just gonna go 99.9% energy. Now, the greatest thing people struggle with is thinking these things are separate, right? So I'm allowing things in the 3D world to cause a reaction that shift my internal state, right? I've got my experiential reality inverted. I need to be choosing a certain internal state. I'm gonna put the 4D right here just so we got some more labels down. I'll explain why that's the 4D. And then this is the 5D, right? Now we're looking at this from a different perspective, but what we just talked about conceptually before this was this journey. We're just looking at it in a different way, right? So people, places, and things are the 3D world of matter, right? The goal is to become more energetic. How do we do this? We need to go from engaging with somebody to engaging with nobody. And we do this through meditation. And it can only be done through practice. I personally believe in the walking meditation, right? Walking meditation is how can I create a moment-to-moment surrender, a moment-to-moment detachment. So what you're actually gonna need to do is figure out how to detach. Think about it. You wanna, you guys get what I'm trying to say. You have to figure out how to detach and sever this connection in which the impulse causes a reaction. Because if you can do that, then you are no longer going to allow a material thing to cause an internal shift. The snacking, procrastination, and overthinking are just external versions of what it's doing to me internally, right? Snacking makes me shameful, it makes me guilty. So my body's recreating that chemical sensation, it's recreating that frequency. Your frequency is what you frequently see. So we have to change how we see this. We have to change how we observe the situation going down. So let's do that right now. Now, meditation is going to teach you how to create that gap in the experience, right? To where we're no longer just falling immediately into an unconscious program. So I'm gonna say we created this gap right here. Now, what are we feeding into this gap that allows us to transform and truly manifest? Well, we know that, I'm just gonna say, when I'm stressed, about work, I'll go to my apartment, my roommate will have baked, and then I'll snack, and then this makes me guilty. Right? This is a loop, right? This is the subconscious program in which I'm worried about work, so I'm thinking thoughts of worry. And because I'm thinking those thoughts, I'm feeling certain things as I'm getting home, right? Then I get home to my apartment, I'm like, oh my God, brownies. My body is already eating the brownies because I was engaging with the worry. So what does this transformation look like? We need to strip the emotional charge, and we strip the emotional charge through detachment, right? Because I have placed an emotional charge of worry associated with my work. That's the emotional charge. That's the frequency that I'm frequently seeing. We talked about using the material world as a mirror because the concept we started this off with was mind is matter, right? This is how we navigate that, right? This is how my inner mind is identifying with the material world. So I'm looking at this as like a matter first concept. If I'm living in this manner, then it's a matter first. The goal is to get mind first, which is energy first. So if we need to shift our energy, I need to engage with detachment. This is what meditation allows us to do, because if you're focusing on your breath, becoming present, then thoughts, emotions, and feelings are all coming at you, being thrown at you, and teaching you how to detach. So let's say I do get the sensation of worry. It's not that we won't experience these things, but then I breathe. And then I ask myself the question, is this really serving me right now? Like, do I really actually need to worry about something? This breath right here is the gap in between the impulse and action. And this is what the meditative state looks like when you're doing a walking meditation, right? You're not falling immediately victim to that unconscious program. You're creating a moment of separation where you can detach and become the observer, right? This is the observer effect. You want to observe how you're going from an impulse to an action. And when you observe how I normally go from getting home to my apartment being worried, seeing baked goods, snacking, and feeling guilty, when I observe that, my frequency has already increased, because think about what observation is. Observation is a bird's eye view. This bird's eye view, just even looking at the terms I'm using, if we're looking eye to eye with this, if I go and eat that brownie, then I'm face to face with the experience. Then my mind is directly correlated to the matter. Versus if I'm observing it, I have a bird's eye view over the things I normally do in the realm of matter. So that's what I'm doing. I realize like, hey, it's not that I won't worry. It's just how I respond versus react. The goal is not to react, the goal is to respond. And I respond by, oh my God, that's the feeling of worry, and it's okay to feel that. This is unknown, building a business as a content creator online. But all I can do is breathe, because I know breathing brings me back to center. Breathing is going to bring me back to the present. The present is no thing. Right? It's just energetic potential. There's nothing happening actually in this moment. Only what we're choosing to observe. That's what the observer effect is. So, if I'm in a matter first mentality, then I'm observing this chain of events, this karmic loop. But if I'm in a state of doing where I'm consciously changing what I'm doing, then I become conscious of the fact that my worry normally leads me to snack, but I'm choosing to consciously do something different with the energy in the moment. Because I've removed the energetic ties through my practice of meditation. That's what meditation teaches you, is like to remove the energetic, emotional ties with these things. Normally, I experience the energetic density of shame. Oh my God, no wonder it spirals, because shame is such a heavy emotion. It's trying to suck me back into this realm of matter. But to sever that tie, right? Like we were talking about, creating the gap in between the emotion, or in between the impulse and the action, I can go from feeling that worry and just not identifying with it. I'm just not identifying with that. When I'm not identifying with that, I'm saying, that breath right here makes me feel present. That's what I know to be true. Because I know, based on the quantum model, that all we have is the present moment. And that everything else is just an illusion that I'm engaging with through my thoughts, emotions, subconscious programs. When you can do this, you restore your power to consciously create. Conscious creation is just your ability to be present, to engage with no thing, no body, no time, and no space. For example, if you're like, oh my God, I gotta drive 40 minutes to work, then you're complaining. You're like creating a matter first mindset. Versus if you're like, gotta do what I gotta do. I'm just here now. Let me just focus on my breath and this internal state of peace that I have. The present is gonna introduce you to peace because of no thing. You'll have no thoughts, no emotions. You'll literally just be present. You will observe, not react, and you'll have that inner state of peace. That inner state of peace is the thing that allows you to consciously create versus fall into an unconscious pattern. And this is what is going on in your state of being when we go from talking about the dispenser wisdom to what it actually looks like in day-to-day transformation. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably know where you need to go. You know that you need to scale your business. You know that you need to start eating cleaner. And you know that meditation is going to be the thing that gets you there. So it's not a matter of what you know you need to do. It's a matter of overcoming the things preventing you from experiencing that. So if you're tired of falling victim to old habits and don't know why you can't overcome that subconscious program, and if you're tired of negative thoughts and fears that you won't be able to actualize your potential, I want you to click the link in my bio and book a call for the 5-day Ascension Protocol. Now, this is going to be a workshop in which we can help you overcome the programming, step back into the present moment within 5 days, and embark on a journey where you have clarity on actualizing your ability to scale your business, eat clean, or whatever else you want to do. Now, just know this is a paid experience, so do not book a call if you are not serious about investing in your transformation. I will not be taking calls with people that just want to hop on a Zoom call and hang out with me and the team. So remember, if this is a transformation you're looking for, make sure to click the link in the bio and book a call for the Ascension 5-day workshop paid protocol experience. So ladies and gentlemen, time to get back to the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably what you've all been waiting for. Now we're gonna jump into the energetic and universal laws of financial abundance. Now, I hope you can appreciate and respect the fact that the last thing I want to talk about is the dollar, because the dollar is once again a physical thing. So I need to show you what it looks like on your inner world to experience financial abundance. And I'm going to do this through the lens of my own experience as an entrepreneur and how I embarked on the journey to create a business that generated over $1 million in 6 months. But I need to start with where I was at, right? So I used to run this e-commerce business called Better Days, and it was a mental health brand. And I wanted to help make people's lives better. I truly did. But deep down in my subconscious programs, I was selfish because I knew I could make money. So my thoughts, emotions, and actions, even though in private, were still being communicated with the quantum field. Because we're all part of this quantum field, this unified field where mind equals matter, you cannot lie energetically, right? You cannot lie through your energy. You can tell someone you're happy, but everyone's picking up your vibe. Clearly something's wrong, right? Concept like that. So I was selfish. I wanted to take because I wanted money, because I was in a state of lack, right? This is a lower frequency because I was making my decisions based on the 3D world, right? My decisions were based on money, things. I'm just gonna draw a cube. By now you should understand that reflects material things. And because of this, I was willing to cheat. I was willing to say, hey, I'm gonna use my false intention of purity to hopefully make some money. But because when things went south, I deep down knew I was doing it for the wrong reasons and it was unsustainable, which is why I was only able to do over $400,000 with it. And I ended up going in debt because all I wanted to do was make more money, make more money. So I invested into a bunch of product that didn't sell because I was trying to sell hoodies during the summer. So no wonder it didn't sell, but I was so focused on the money. I was so focused on extracting everything. So my selfishness, what I wanted to take, and the fact that I was willing to do anything for it was manifesting at this level of experience of fear, lack, doubt. Now, based on what we just talked about, what is this? To be selfish is to have your frame on somebody, right? I was focused on myself. To take is to want something. And to cheat, I wanted it to happen quick. I was like, this needs to happen now. So I was engaging with time. What are these all? Illusions of the 3D world, that outdated paradigm of Newtonian consciousness that we were talking about. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening as an entrepreneur when I was able to manifest $1 million in 6 months. So, this is the frequency of what I did, right? This was like a physical outcome. So like we said, we talked about the mirror principle at the beginning. You need to understand that $1 million of business is just a moment in time in the future. I don't even want to say that. It's a frequency you hold internally. It is a number you see on a screen, but that's a product of everything you did to get there. Now, when I worked with these content creators, my entire job was I was the CVO. That's what I coined myself. I was the Chief Vibe Officer because I knew we'd face challenges. I knew building a business was tough. I knew it was hard to be on social media as a presence, but all I did was curate the internal state of the team. I said, hey, we can actually change people's lives because we are actually truthfully giving them everything we do in the form of products and services. I knew this was the intention. So one thing you need to understand is the only way you can actually energetically communicate with the universe is intention. And intention manifests through energy and emotion. I was grateful because I'm like, oh my God, we're actually building the business right this time. This will actually be able to change people's lives. And because I knew that, I was willing to withstand any challenge because I knew we were on the right path. We were selfless. We gave away everything we knew. We actually told people how to build a brand because it's what my client did. So we just gave them the exact path. We gave it away. And we invested hours and hours and hours, way beyond what we got paid, into them. But that's came from fulfillment. And fulfillment was from being grateful. We were full. We already knew we had everything we needed to succeed. In that moment, in the present moment, we needed nobody. We literally needed nobody because we had everything. We needed no thing. Because inside, we know we had everything. And we invested everything. Because we were present. We said, we will give you everything now. You see how this changes the communication with the quantum? This frequency was coming through in the present moment because it was not blinded by the illusion of being selfish, my need to take, my need to cheat and steal. This is actually how you build a business without selling your soul. That was a big thing for me I had to come to terms with. If you were living like this, you are literally sacrificing your vital energy, your soul, your life force for a literal piece of paper, for the fucking dollar. Sit with that for a second. Your eating habits fall, your sleeping habits fall, you're numbing yourself because you're not fulfilled. You know you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You know that it like literally doesn't mean anything in the end. Versus if you shift your intention, you actually build a business from a proper aligned place. You actually build it from a place of service. Then you're giving people everything they need to thrive. Everything they need to thrive. And we did that selflessly, investing our time, energy, and attention into them. And that's how we scaled a business to $250,000 a month. Because everyone ended up talking about it. We had thousands of people on the internet talking about the product. Hundreds of people going live talking about it. Because we built it with the proper foundations of energetics. We used these universal energetic laws that I just talked about over the course of this video. I was the chief vibe officer. And I gave everything to this business, to this team, to see them thrive. So ladies and gentlemen, this is everything you need to know. Understand that you are coming and you exist in a unified field. That mind and matter are not separate. It is only our ego and our programs that create that illusion. When you can understand this, you can start to engage with that act of meditation. You can actually meditate and practice curating that state of presence where there's no thing, no time, and no space. But you can also engage in the state of a walking meditation. In the state of walking meditation, you can create that space between the impulse and the reaction in the moment, which is inherently meditation. You're just severing the emotional ties. You're severing the programming. You're stepping into the present moment and you're consciously creating the experience you want by no longer engaging with what you don't want to experience. So ladies and gentlemen, if you can master those two things and engage with that daily, then you're going to be able to consciously engage with the energetic spectrum in which you can start to channel a reality that is more sustainable, that is more long-term, that is not built on faulty foundations in which you will fall short and fall a victim to a negative, lower level frequency in the future because you are not selling your soul for this experience. You are not allowing your inner state, your inner knowingness, your inner clarity, your inner purpose, your inner intention to be determined by the external world of money and things and people and places. That is always changing. That is always fleeting. It is built on the wrong foundations. If you can start to introduce yourself to this wisdom, start to master it, you're gonna have everything you need to thrive. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be back on the whiteboard in the red glasses. I'll see you in the next one. I got nothing but love. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. Peace.